Okay. Today's daf is Daf Yudalid, and we're going to discuss more about Hashem, basically. And we continue with esoteric Gemaras over here. And first, the Gemara is going to ask contradictions that are written in the Sefer Yecheskel to the Sefer Yeshaya. So here we are, a Daf Yudalid Amud Beis. If you count up from the wide lines, about 7-8 lines, the end of the line begins with the word Kosuv. So this is what we're starting from. Kosuv Echod Omer. There was one pasuk that says that an angel had sheish, that the vision of Yeshaya, okay, that's what this pasuk comes, is that the vision is that sheish knafayim le'echad. Every malach has 6 wings, okay, 2 covering their face, 2 covering their feet, and 2 that they fly with and sing shira with. So they have 6 wings. Because of Echad Omer, and one pasuk says when Yecheskel saw them, he said, "Vabo ponim la'achas, vabo knafayim la'achas mehem." He saw that they only have 4 wings. So either what do they have? 6 wings or 4 wings? So loy kasha. It's not a difficult. Kan, when Yeshaya saw them with 6 wings, was bisman shebeis hamikdash hayakayim. When the Beis Hamikdash was around, the malachim looked complete. Gan. Kan, when Yecheskel saw them, Bizman she'ein Beis Hamikdash Kayim, when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Kaviyachol shenismatu kanvei chayis. The wings of these divine angels were clipped, so to speak, as if to say that the Beis Hamikdash is not around, and therefore they're not going to have the full set of wings. Hi, Alan. We just started over here. We're talking about a contradiction, a quick contradiction. Yudalit Amud Beis, about 4 lines from the wide lines up. And so we're talking about the contradiction that describes that after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the angels who normally have 6 wings were clipped of 2 wings. So the Gemara asks, "Hey minai imit," which of the 2 wings was clipped from these angels that Yecheskel only saw them with 4 wings instead of 6 wings? As I said before, they have 6 wings, 2 covering their face, 2 covering their feet, 2 they fly with, basically, and sing shira with. The wings in the middle, the ones that they sing shira, they sing a song to the Eibishter. It says over here in Yeshaya that the 2 wings that they fly around are the ones that they, so to speak, communicate. The Karazel Zev Amar. Uksiv, and the pasuk in Mishlei says, Hasoif enecha boy benenu. If you look at the wings that they fly around with, and they're gone. So that wing was clipped. So that's the opinion of Rav. Rabbanan says no. The wings that were clipped were the ones that they normally cover their feet. How do I know that? Shenema, but the pasuk says, v'ragleihem, their feet, ragle yeshara. Or I think Yecheskel says, I see that they have 1 foot, like we daven Shemoneh Esrei, they had 1 foot. It's all straight. So how did Yecheskel know what's behind, how their feet look if they normally have a wing that covers their feet? We love the imut. If it wasn't for the fact that this was clipped, how would Yecheskel know how the angels' feet look? So the Gemara says that's not so difficult. Maybe they just uncover their feet, and Yecheskel looked, but that doesn't mean that that was clipped. Maybe they covered it back up again, so he had a peak. If you don't say like this, Yecheskel saw their face. The angel's face looked like the face of a human. So how did he know their face? Don't they have 2 wings that cover the face? Hachaname the imit. Will you say that the wings that cover the face was clipped? So we don't say that. So we don't have a for sure reason to say that the wings that covered their feet were also clipped. So the Gemara says, Ella, no. Hachi hashta. Maybe just same thing. That it appeared and he saw it, and then the same thing over here by the feet. He had a peek at it, but they still have it. So the Gemara says, Hachi hashta. You can't compare. Bishlama ape, when the wings that cover the face. So sometimes you uncover the wings to show your face in front of your master. So it could be that's how Yecheskel saw their faces. Kare, the foot, Lav oirich arle galui kame rabbi. It's never should be uncovered in front of their master. And the fact that Yechezkel saw them uncovered must be those are the wings that were clipped. So again, we had a machlekes, which wings were clipped after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Is it the wings that cover, that they sing with and fly with, or is it the wings that cover their feet? Next, Kasav Echad Omer. There's one pasuk that says in Doniel. Now we're just asking steers about Hashem, so to speak, about God. First, one pasuk says, Elef Alpha Yisham Shune. There are thousands of malachim serving him. Riba Ravanim and tens of thousands times 10,000 myriads kedamoye kumum are in front of him. So really, they have a finite number. Uksiv Acha. The Kasav Echad Omer, one pasuk says, Hayesh Mispa Ligdudav. Can you count the troops? In other words, it's infinite amount of angels that are around God. So one pasuk says there's a lot, and you could count them. There's a finite number, and one pasuk seems to imply it's infinity. So loy kasha, it's not difficult. Same teretz. When the Beis Hamikdash was around, the angels, there was infinite amount of angels. When there's no Beis Hamikdash around, so I guess there was a layoff, and some of the malachim got laid off. The office got diminished because now there's a finite number of malachim. Tanya, we learned in a brisa. Rabbi Oimer Mishum Abba ben Yosi ben Destoy, Elef Alf Yishamshuna Mispar Gedud Echad L'Gedudav Ein Mispar. So he gives another teretz. In the brisa, they give another teretz. When it says that there are thousands serving him, that's the amount in one troop, in one formation, troop formation. But L'Gedudav Ein Mispar, but the amount of troop formation, that there is no count. It's infinite. Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Omar, Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Elef Aleph Yisham Shuni. There's thousands that serve. What does that mean? That are serving l'nahar dinner. There's tens of thousands of malachim serving up and working for har dinner, not serving God. God has infinite amount of angels working for him, but this nahar dinor, which is a fiery river. This fiery river, we'll talk about it in a moment. There's all manning that river are tens of millions of malachim. Shnema nahar din nagit nufak min kadamei elef alfin yisham shune v'ribrivarm kadamei yikumim. So it seems that the pasuk, if you read the beginning of the pasuk, is discussing nahar dinner. So Daniel is saying that serving and working for nahar dinner, you have these elef alfei yisham shune. So the Gemara asks a question. Now that you brought up this river of dinner, so let me ask you a question. Mehecha nafik. How did this river, this fiery river, get started? So the Gemara answers, Mizei Oshin Shel Chayas. From the divine angels, they sweat when they serve God, so to speak, out of pachad, fright, and fear and trepidation. So their sweat forms this nahar dinner. Ulehechan shafach. So where does this river go to? This fiery dinner. So Amarav Zitru Batuvia Amarav Al Roish Rishoim Begehenim. It goes on the heads of the Rishoim and Gehenim. Shenema Hine Sa'aras Hashem Chema Yotza V'Sahar Mischoilel Al Roish Rishoim Yochol. That this hurricane stirs up, right? And it falls on to the heads of Rishoim. And so we assume that it's referring to that Nahar dinner, this fiery river, that actually lands itself into Gehenim right on the heads of Rishoim. Rav Acha Bayankov Oma, Rav Acha Bayankov says, Al Ashe Kumtu. It's on those that were supposed to be born. It's not every Russia. There's a special Russia that that this Nahar dinner falls on. And listen to who are these Rishoim. These are Rishoim Ashkumtu. They were supposed to be born early, but they were not born early. What does that mean? So God, so to speak, changed his mind. We'll see in a second. Shenema Ashakumtu Veloy Ace. Those that were supposed to be born, but not in the right time. They were pushed. They had delayed. They weren't born when they were supposed to be born. But so to speak, God delayed their birth. Nahar Yutzak Yisoidam. The foundation of this river will pour on them. So what are these people? Who are these people that we're talking about? Tanya, and that were supposed to be born, and because of that, and they're Rishoyim, like a certain subset of Rishoyim. So Amr Rab Shimon Nachasid, Elu Tcha Meis V'Shivim Arba Doresh Shekumti Lehi Boros. You see, there were, God wanted to bring the Torah, give the Torah to the Jewish people after 1,000 generations that lived on planet Earth. And instead, God saw that if he waited 1,000, because the pasuk says, David tziva elef dar. That's what we say in davening. But God saw that if he waited 1,000 generations, he would have to destroy the world 10 times over. So they're missing from those, only 36 generations were born, and then the Torah was given. So what's left? 974 generations that were supposed to be born before the giving of the Torah are now born after the Torah. These type of people that were supposed to be born are turned out to be evil people, and God couldn't have them in earth and then wait till they live out their years and then give the Torah. So God held back from them giving birth, but God, they have to be born. So where are they? They were not born. They were held back before the world was created with Daf Yudalad and Aleph. They weren't created. God planted these people who were supposed to be born before the giving of the Torah, and God planted in every generation. You find these type of people. They're a subset of a Rasha. Who are these people? The Hein Aziponim Shabadar. They are the Aziponim. I'll teach Aziponim as being the narcissistic people of the generation. People you can't reason with. People who have no feeling for other people. And self-centered narcissists. So therefore, God planted in the generation, there's a special hell for these type of people. And the Nahar Dinner falls on them. People probably who don't give gittin when they're asked to. Anyway, Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak says the opposite. We're saying that this Nahar Dinner falls on people because of they're doing bad things. But he says, Ashekumtu levrachahu. It's a blessing that this falls on people and gives them a blessing. Special people that this Nahar Dinner falls on. Who is that? These people who wrinkled themselves. The word kumtu could also mean wrinkling. Elu talmidei chachamim shemkantem atzman, they shrivel themselves. Al divrei Torah b'yom zeh. They don't eat well. You know, a person who's in learning, he doesn't have a right diet, and he's not sleeping enough. So they are shriveling themselves physically in this world to learn Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu megalahem soid lo'olam haba. That's what the pasuk means. God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give them more secrets of the Torah in olam haba. Shenamar nahar yutzak yesoidam. On them, those people that shrivel themselves, they will get the secrets of the Torah that will be poured from them like a pouring river. Amalei Shmuel l'chia barav. Shmuel said to Chia barav, I want to tell you, your father was named Rav. So Shmuel told Chia, his son, I want to tell you something special that your father used to say. What's special? Your father Rav taught a teaching. Kol yoyme v'yoyme, every single day, nivro'in malachi ashoris minar dinar. Every day, new angels are created from the Nahar Dinar. V'amru shira, and they saying shira ubatli, and then they die. They die like stars live and die. So malachim also are born. They say a shira and then they die. How do you know that? Shenama chadoshim labekorim rabba emunusecha. Every morning, new ones are created to give. So the praises of God are increasing. So that's what he said. Now, why do they die? I mean, what do they do wrong? So because they're not, Tosfos explains, they're not familiar with the practice that malachim have to say shira as one group. Not one could, they have to do it together. Like we say in Davin, they have to do it, they have to give each other permission to say it all at the same time. And therefore, they're not familiar with the rules. With the rules of saying shira, and they end up saying shira earlier than the others, and therefore they violated the rules. They are killed, so to speak. Upligi, so upligi Rab Shmuel bar Nachmenu. So this argument, Rav said that these malachim sort of emerge from Nahar Dinur, but Rab Shmuel bar Nachmenu says the Rab Shmuel bar Nachmenu, Rabbi Yonason, that really the malachim are created from the words that come out of God's mouth. Kol diba v'diba sheyotzi mipi haKadosh Baruch Hu. Any word that comes out of God, nivra mimena malach echad. One angel is created. Shnema b'dvar Hashem shemayim nasu. With the words of Hashem, the heavens are created, and also the ruach piv, with the breath from His mouth, kol tzavam, all His troopers, which refers to the malachim. Now we talk about God. Okay. Now we ask Stiris and how does God look? So you listen to this contradiction. One pasuk in Daniel says, "Levushe kislach chibor." I saw God; he was wearing a white coat. Usar on his hair, sa'ar reishe, the hair on his head, ka'amar nekei, like a clean sheep, like a washed sheep. So his hair is white, so to speak. Uksiv, and then the pasuk says, Kvutzaisav taltalim, his curls, the curls of his hair, shchayris are black ka'oirif, are black like a raven. So the question is, what color is God's hair? Is it white or is it black? He's certainly not bald, but so that's the question of the Gemara. So loy kasha, the Gemara says not difficult. God appears in different ways. Kan be yeshiva, when he's judging the world and sitting in judgment, he looks like a white statesman. Kan b'mechama, when he's going to war, so to speak, let's say against the Jewish enemies, he appears as black, as somebody who has black hair. The Amamar, we have a teaching. Ein lecha noah b'yeshiva, nothing looks better in sitting in judgment. Elazokin, you like to see an old judge. You don't want to see an up and coming novice. You want to see somebody who has experience. So that's the best thing. So that's why God, so to speak, has white hair when he's sitting in judgment. But nothing more nicer in war, to see a young, strong person. So that in that case, God appears as if he has black hair. Don't take this literally, obviously, but this is a ramazim. Now the Gemara asks another question about Hashem. One pasuk says, Kursayu, his chair, Shvivin dinar, is like it's a firing flame. That's what his chair. So the Rebbeinu Shalom has one throne that he sits on. Uksiv echad oymen. One pasuk says in Daniel that when the Mashiach comes, adi karsovin remin ba'atek yomin yisiv. They'll put together thrones, plural, which means two chairs, and the ancient one, the Eibishter, will sit down on one of them. So what is he? I understand why he needs one chair. What do you do? Why does he need two chairs when Mashiach comes? So loy kasha, the Gemara says, not difficult. Echad loy, one for him to sit on. The echad le David. David Melech is going to sit right next to the Eibishter when the Mashiach comes. Kiditanya, we learned in a brisa. Echad loy, the echad le David. Divri Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says there's going to be two chairs upstairs, one for the Eibishter and one for David HaMelech. So says Rabbi Akiva. What?
Which one will be for Mashiach? He'll be tired when he comes.
Yes, that's right. But one of them, I don't know which one, but the Gemara doesn't remain with this. The Gemara doesn't like this. How could a human being, David, a boss of Adam, sit next to the Eibishter? Rabbi Yossi Galili said to Rabbi Akiva, what do you mean? David HaMelech is going to sit next to the Eibishter? Admos Akiva. Admose ata oise shchina choil. How long do you make the Eibishter like a little choil, like profane? That's he should sit next to a human being, David HaMelech. Ella, there's two chairs. Echad ledin, one for justice. The echad letzedakah, when the Eibishter is going to do lefnimisher sadin, more than justice. So there's two types of judgments that are going to happen in the future. So the Gemara says, Kibla mina or loy Kibla mine. Did Rabbi Akiva accept did Rabbi Akiva accept the answer and he changed his mind? Or did he not change his mind? Tashma, come in here. Look what Rabbi Akiva said. There are two chairs. Echad ledin ve'echad letzedakah. Divri Rabbi Akiva. So you see, Rabbi Akiva held, you're right, Rabbi Yossi Galili accepted him. There'll be two chairs, one for justice and one for tzedakah, righteousness. Amma loy Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah had a problem again with this. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah had a problem with Rabbi Akiva also. Akiva, ma lecho eitzel haggadah. What are you learning Agada to Gemara? Klach midibrasecha eitzel negoyim v'holis. You should be learning the harder mesechtas, the one that's more appropriate for you. Taharas, mesechta negoyim, and mesechta aholis. In other words, a person has to know what part of Torah works for him. For some people, Kabbalah and secrets of Torah work for them, and some people are more into Taharas, more into Halacha, more into Navi. That's what you say. V'sein chelkeinu b'sarasecha. I want my part, what's fitting for me. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, Akiva, you got to get away from Agada. It's not for you. I'll tell you why there's two chairs. Ella, echad lekisei, one Hashem's going to sit on, the echad lisraf. And the one chair is where Hashem, so to speak, puts his feet up, like a footstool. Kisei, a chair, leishav olav, to sit on. Sraf, the footstool, la'daim raglav, to support his feet. Shnema, we see this concept. Hashmaim kisi, God says the heaven is my throne where I sit. V'haaretz hadoim ragloi. The planet Earth is where I put my feet up. Anyway, Zog the Gemara. Ki osir Avdimi Amar, when Avdimi came, he said, Shmoine esrei kloles kill Yeshaya Yisrael. Yeshaya, if you read Yeshaya, he cursed out the Jewish people with 18 curses, because after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, these 18 curses have to happen. But and even till our generation, and he didn't calm down until he got to the final curse, which is the final curse of our generation. What's the final curse of our generation? Yirhavu hanar ba'azokim. The nar, the young person, will show arrogance and rudeness to the old person. V'hanikla, the low person, the low-class person, will show arrogance over banichbad, over the respectable person. In other words, before Mashiach comes, chutzpah, there will be a lot of chutzpah from the young people. So let's go through Shmoine Esrei Klolos. There are 18 Klolos that happened after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Man Ninu, what are they? Hashem's going to remove from Jerusalem and from Yehuda Mashen, a support. Umashena, Mashen is the support. Mashen is the stick. Kol mishan lechem, any support of bread. V'chol mishan mayim, any support of water. Gibar, strong. Ish Muhammad, there will be a man who knows how to war. Shoifet, no judge. Navi, no prophet. The kaisim, no charmer. V'zokin, no old people, no elder. Sar chamishim, no master over 50. Unesu panim, somebody who has divine favor. V'yoyet, somebody who gives advice. V'chacham, smart. Charoshem, a charmer. Unavine, somebody who understands. Lochash, quiet. So this is a cryptic pasuk. And then the pasuk says, "V'msati soreim b'saluleim yishrulubam." I'm going to put Na'orim, young people, to be the rulers of the Jewish people. B'salulim, and shrewd, shrewd people, Yim Shulubam, will rule over them. So what does this pasuk mean? That after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, God's going to take away all these things that we have now during the Beis Hamikdash and take them away. What does that mean? Mashen, God will take away the support. Eilu Bali Mikra. There's nobody that knows the 24 books of Tanakh well. Mash'ena, there's no stick. Eilu Bali Mishnah. Nobody knows all the Mishnayos well. What do I mean? There's no Mishnayos. We know Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. But in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, there was actually more than 6. There was actually much more than that. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema b'chaverev. Yehuda ben Tema, who lived in the Beis Hamikdash, he knew much more than the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Upliga bar Papa Rabbanim. Papa Rabbanim had an argument. How much was the Mishnayos? Chadam, a son, said Sheish Meir Sidrei Mishnah. There was actually 600 Mishnayos, Sidrei Mishnayos. Chadam Shma Meir Sidrei Mishnah. And some said there was 700 orders of Mishnayos. And some of this was lost. Some of them came brises, etc. But there's nobody that knows Mishnayos well anymore. Kol Mishan Lechem Elu Bali Talmud. Nobody knows how to paskin or understand the reasoning behind the Mishnayos. Shnema L'chu Lachmi B'Lachmi Shu Yibiyayin Mesachti. So that's lechem refers to somebody who understands Torah on the deepest level. When you can paskin on halacha, that's called bread, because bread is something you can eat, you can live by. And then there will be nobody, V'chol Mishan Mayim, says Yeshaya, there will be nobody who you could support, who could support water. What does that mean? Eli Bale Agoda. There'll be nobody who can darshan Agoda to Gemaras. Shemoishchen Liboy She'odem Kamayim Ba'agoda. Agoda Gemaras, the kind that we're learning now, draws your heart into it. And it gets you emotionally. So no, there will be not people who can make new drushes to bring out the emotions of the Jewish people. Gibar Zeh Bali Shmuas. There will be no strong people in the Jewish people. Somebody who can repeat and knows everything that was said over from previous generations. And nobody who knows how to do war. He knows how to busy himself and transact into the war of Torah. Means he knows how to, I guess what that means is that he knows how to, he knows how to figure things out himself, figure chidushim out on his own. Shoifit, there will be no judge. There will be no judge that really does it truthfully, because you can always fool a judge. Navi, there will be no prophecy. As you know, when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, by the second Beis Hamikdash already, there was no prophets. Kimashmoy. Koisim, Zemelach, there was no more kings anymore. Shnema Kesem al Sifsei Melach. So we see the word Kesem, which means divine, is on the lips of the king. Zokein, Zeh Shoroi Yeshiva. Somebody who can be somebody you can put him up as a leader. Sar Chamishim, what does that mean? I'll take Sar Chamishim, El Sar Chumshim. Zeh Sheyadei Lisim Elitim Bechamishi Chumshi Torah. He knows how to transact in the Chamishi Chumshi Torah. It's not enough to know the Chaf Daled Sifrei Tanakh, but you have to know how to transact in the Chumash as well. Davar Acha Sar Chamishin Rabba Bo. There's nobody who is a 50-year-old person that really can speak well. The Amar Rabba Bo, Makan she'ein mamidim beturgemin al atziba pochas mechamishim shama. You don't get somebody up to speak and be the translator and the motivator of the Jewish people if he's less than 50 years old. So gone are those people. Unusu panim, people who can get divine favor. Nobody can get divine favor anymore. Zesh nois panel dar bavure. He can get divine favor for his generation because of he's so righteous. Kagoin, Rab Chanina ben Doisa, the Rab Chanina ben Doisa, so that he can get divine favor above to Hashem, because as we've learned many times in Masechta Brachos, Rab Chanina ben Doisa had a power to bring down parnasa for people b'schus of Rab Chanina ben Doisa in his merit. Lamata Kagoin Rabba Bo bebei Kesa. In handling the Jewish affairs, there was person in history than Rabba Bo when he dealt with the Caesar. Yoyetz, there will not be a person that knows astronomy. He doesn't know how to make the calendar and understand to set months. The Chacham Zeh Talmud Amachkim es Rabboisav, who makes his a student that makes his Rebbe smart. There's nobody when he opens his mouth in the words of Torah, everybody becomes silent. He understands things from things that he's being taught. He can extend his learning. And there's nobody worthy today to give over Torah, which was the Torah that's normally spoken silently. So basically what we just went through is when Yeshaya cursed the Jewish people, he said that the quality people that used to be around when the Beis Hamikdash was, as the generations go on, all these people are going to disappear. And that's what happens. Today's generations is like, we can't produce, like a Beis Yosef or a Chamsam Sofer or whatever. Everything is very diminished. And then before Mashiach comes, the pasuk says, "Nusati na'arim sareim." The ones that are going to rule you are young people. They're going to be leaders of the Jewish people. What is a young person? Ma'im nasati na'arim sareim. Amar Ablaza el b'nei adam sh'na'arim in mitzvahs. People who are empty of mitzvahs. They're going to be ruling Israel, so to speak. As you see, the people some of the people who are running the country are not religious. That's the symbol that Mashiach is coming. V'salulim yimshlubam. What's salulim? Amarav bar Yaakov Tali b'nei Tali. A fox, the son of a fox. Fox is the shrewdest, lowest animal on earth, and it's an example of the shrewd people in politics that they're going to be running the country. And he didn't calm down because then he felt, but when this curse happens, Mashiach is going to come. The young person will have arrogance, disrespect for the old person, and the nikla, the low person, will have disrespect for the respectable person. Elu b'nei adam shemenuarim in mitzvahs, people who are empty from mitzvahs, yirhavu, will be arrogant, b'mi shemamule mitzvahs karima, that are full of mitzvahs like a rima, that they're going to be show arrogance to somebody who's full of mitzvahs. V'anikla b'nigvod yavai mi shechamuras doimer olav kakalas, somebody who takes life unseriously, he takes life as a joke. That the hard Averis is like a light Averis. He doesn't make much of it. And B'yir Havu, they'll show disrespect of those elders of the previous generation, that even a slight Avera is like the biggest Avera. Like, the people from the previous generation, if you veered from a minig, they were shaking. How could you veer from a minig? In today's generation, the young people make nothing of it, even on the hard mitzvahs. So this is the kind of disrespect that you see is what Yeshaya foretold, which will exist before the Mashiach comes.
A question: the young person will have disrespect for the old person, and the old person will have disrespect for who? I didn't get that.
The low person.
The low.
Yarhavu Hanar, the young person will have disrespect and arrogance, insolent over the old person. The Hanikla, the low class.
Oh, got it.
Banichbad is somebody who's respectable. You could hear today that unfortunately that children today, the concept of a child not talking to a parent is something I've never heard until our generation. It's the kind of chutzpah that it's prevalent, but that's a sign Mashiach is coming. Amar of Katina said, "Afila b'shas."
Wait till you find out.
Yes, that's right. Soon, Mitzvah Shem. Omar Rav Katina said that not everything is bad. Even during the destruction of Yerushalayim, even today, like there are always people who could say the truth. Why? Shenema, the pasuk says, people who speak emes, because at that time, similar, you have a cloak, katsanti alona. You should be our ruler. And it's basically they're looking for a leader, somebody who knows Torah, and they'll grab one person and say, you should be our leader. Things that are covered under a cloak, that is the Torah. I see you know how to learn. I see that you know how to learn, because learning means you have to stumble on it first. It's hard at first. And I see that you know how to learn. So basically, during the time after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, it's foretold that we're going to go over to somebody who we think knows how to learn. And what's he going to do? I don't want to be your leader. Even though you think I know Torah, I don't know anything. He swears. I'm not going to be your healer. I'm not from the healers of the Beis Hamikdash. I have no bread and no clothing. That means I don't know how to learn nothing. So basically, you see that even during the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, one good thing is you'll grab a guy, you ask him to be the leader of the Jewish people because we think you know how to learn, and he's going to be honest enough to tell us he doesn't know how to learn. So Gemara says that proves that there will be honest people. The Dilma Shani Hasam, the Amma Gamerna, if he told us he knows how to learn, Amrlan, we would tell him, Amelans, no, start learning, teach us how much you know. So that's why he has to tell the truth, because he could be caught with the lie. So the answer is no. He could have answered a white lie. He could have said, Gamar v'shachach. I learned, but I forgot. Ma loy choivish. He's trying to say, I never learned at all. So he could have faked that he learned once. I know I forgot it. That's why I don't want to be your leader. But the fact is, he says the truth. So that's a good thing, that even when Mashiach, after the Beis Hamikdash, during our Gullus, there's always people who speak the truth. So the Gemara says, are there always people who speak the truth? Eini v'amarava. Yerushalayim was not destroyed until there was nobody that speaks the truth. God says, look around Yerushalayim, look around the street and the marketplace. You see anybody, doing business honestly and speaking truthfully? God says, I would forgive it. I would forgive the Jewish people, but obviously there isn't. So how do we say that there's no liars anymore? So the Gemara says, Loi kasha, it's not difficult. We go to Rabba Beis, Habit Divrei Torah. When it comes to Divrei Torah, then there are people who are honest, say that they don't know how to learn. When it comes to business, there are nobody that's saying the truth. With learning, there are truth sayers. There are people who speak the truth. When it comes to business, you can't find anybody that you can trust. That's why. Taner Rabbanim. New Gemara, but this takes us very fast. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was riding on a donkey. He was going on the way. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach was leading the donkey behind him. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is in front. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, his student, was behind him. Amalai, so Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach said to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi, Shnei Perek Echa b'Ma'aser Merkava. Teach me something about the Ma'aser Merkava. Didn't I teach you? You can't teach Ma'aser Merkava until you're of age and you're smart. And I don't feel you're ready. You're ready. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told his student, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. So the student said, Rabbi, permit me to say one thing that you taught us. In other words, I remember you taught me something about the Ma'aser Merkava, and I want to show you that I remember what you taught me, and I could repeat over what you said. So he wanted to prove himself to the rabbi, so that the rabbi would agree to go even further in the Ma'aser Merkava. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, okay, you want to talk about Ma'aser Merkava and more? You can talk. Miyad Yara Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai me'al hachamor. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai went off his donkey. He stood and he wrapped himself in a cloak underneath an olive tree. So the Rabbi Elazar ben Arach said, Rabbi, why did you get off your donkey? You can listen to what I'm talking while you're still on the donkey. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, you're going to start speaking about the Ma'aser Merkava, and God, so to speak, the presence of God is with us, and the Malachim are escorting us, and I should ride on a donkey. I have to show some fear over here. Miyad Pasach Rabbi Elazar ben Arach b'Ma'aser Merkava b'Dorash. He started speaking about the Ma'aser Merkava. All of a sudden, a fire came down from heaven and surrounded all the trees in the field. A fire, they were speaking such high secrets of Torah. All the malachim started saying Shira. All the trees started saying Shira. My Shira, Amr, what Shira did they say? Halu es Hashem and Arth and Imichal Tahimis. Eitz Pri V'chol Harazim Hallelujah. So the trees started singing to Hashem. Nana Malach Mina Eish V'ama. One Malach came out from the fire and said, Hein Ma'aser Merkava. That is the Ma'aser Merkava. In other words, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach was teaching correctly, and his understanding of the Ma'aser Merkava was correct. So Ahmed Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai Unashakai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai got up and kissed him al Roshei. And he said, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Shenosem ben Avram Avinu. Blessed God that He gave a son to Avram Avinu, like you, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, that you know and understand and investigate and search out the truth on the Ma'aser Merkava. And then he said something about his student. Again, it seems to be that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's best student is Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. So he said, Yeshna v'darish. There's some people who are good, they know how to learn well, ve'eino mekayim, but they don't keep the Torah well. There's some people know mekayim, keep the Torah well, ve'eino darish, but don't know how to learn the Torah well. Ata no darish v'no mekayim. You keep the Torah, you learn the Torah well, and you keep the Torah well. Ashrecha Avram Avinu. Praise is Avram Avinu. Elazar ben Arach yotza mechalatzecha. That Elazar ben Arach came from your offspring, from your descendants. So we're going to stop over here. Let's stop over here. Over here, the next Gemara is also a story, but it's quick. But basically, what you learned over here is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the story of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was riding on the donkey, and Rabbi Elazar ben Arach started teaching and learning the Ma'aser Merkava, and then fire came down from heaven.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you very much, bro.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss tomorrow's daf, because tomorrow's daf talks about people who learned the Ma'aser Merkava and went off the derech. So so we'll see more about that tomorrow. But
Something to think about until tomorrow.
Yes, okay. Keep you in.
Yeah, Shikoyach.
Have a good night.
Shikoyach. Gute Nacht.